Okay, we've done our 1 p.m. live stream. Now we're here to do our 1 a.m. live stream. So once again, as always, please take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button. I hope that everybody's doing well. It's going to be a great day as always, or a great night as always. We're going to chat about Freemasonry. There's a couple of things I want to mention, but these 1 a.m. streams are mostly just hangout and chat streams. They're very rarely, I very rarely have like specific things to talk about, right? They tend to be more just hang out and have fun. So let's see who jumps on. But I did get some really cool news that I was really happy about. So I'm going to share those for sure. Also, I'm going to let people know I am working on a few updates or new things for the channel, including some new thumbnails I'm working on, which is going to be a blast, as well as just some really cool updates. So I'm going to keep you guys informed about that. So please take a moment, though. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. My goal this week is to get to 2,500 subscribers. So we'll see how we do, if I can get there or not. And yeah, let's give it a few minutes and let's see who joins. Thank you for the hundreds. I don't know if that's Smokey or not, but if it is, don't forget, Smokey and I will be rocking out the August 29th, 12 p.m. Eastern live stream. Think Jetta. Well, thank you, Think Jetta. I truly appreciate that. I think you might be new to the stream. But Think Jetta, I hope you hit the like button. I hope you hit the subscribe button. Let me know how it's going and if there's anything you want to talk about. When it comes to Freemasonry, any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear it. Let me know how it's going. I'm just working on some stuff right now that I'm really excited about, including some brand new thumbnails. So there's a lot of really fun stuff happening. But how are you guys doing? Everybody's watching this, please, like I said, take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know how you're doing, if there's anything that you guys want to chat about. I do want to give a huge shout out to the City of Windsor, Councillor Agostino, Transit Windsor, for installing a new trash receptacle at the bus stop that is directly in front of the Windsor Masonic Temple. It's a small thing, but one thing I was noticing is people, before they got on the bus, they would just drop their trash on the ground, and it would end up getting blown onto the lawn of the Windsor Masonic Temple. You know, small things matter, right? And so I put in, we both, you know, me and other Masons, we put in a call to try and get a trash can put in there. And to their credit, it took a little while, but the City of Windsor and Transit Windsor did install a trash can. So no more trash on the lawn of the Masonic Temple. Small things like this matter, you know. A lot of people maybe feel sometimes like it doesn't. I promise you it does. Welcome, Texas. I hope you're doing well. Courtney, how is your night going? I guess it'd be 12 o'clock your time, I think, right? I always get the times mixed up in Texas, whether you guys are an hour behind or not. But I hope that you guys are doing well. You're going to be seeing me posting some new stuff very soon on social media, particularly, yeah, okay, so you're almost there, particularly about my Masonic items, my most prized Masonic items, the ones that I love the most, and so that's going to be really fun. I've got a lot of really cool, I mean, I already talked about them on the 24-hour live stream, which I love doing. This is going to be kind of one item at a time. And every kind of day it's going to be a different item. They're all going to be YouTube shorts, so they're all going to be a minute long or so. but it's going to be a lot of fun. So the first one I did, and I know you guys have seen it. I know Courtney saw it, but it's this one, the barn raising pin, which I got in Paducah, Kentucky. I remember talking about how much I loved hearing the rain fall as it hit the hit the tin roof as the third degree raising was taking place. That was really special. So it was just a really, really cool and really beautiful. I just absolutely loved it. So yeah. But let me know how you're going or how it's going, Texas Freemason. Think Jet, if you're still there, please hit that subscribe button. And everybody watching this, let me know if you're having a great night. And let me know if there's anything you want to talk about. I agree. It is super cool. It's just an awesome memory of what was truly, truly a great time. Um, I remember it's funny because Paducah, Kentucky, it's like, what's the population of Paducah, Kentucky? According to this, what's the population? I'm just looking up on Wikipedia because it's a super tiny, tiny town. Or at least it felt like a very tiny town. Population 27,137 as of, I guess, 2020, with an estimate in 2023 of 27,205. I remember it was like a popular town because they had like every year a big quilting festival. So they had a bunch of hotels that were booked out, like very busy during the year, and then the rest of the time were not. But I remember the Greyhound bus station was this tiny shack, which I never saw anybody inside of it. So when you got there, it was basically like a closed off, completely closed off building, some lights on the outside. So I got in at like 4 in the morning, and my ride was going to pick me up at like 8 in the morning. So basically, I slept on a bench outside of the Greyhound station in the middle of, it was basically in the middle of nowhere. Like there's a big field on either side, waiting for my Masonic brother to come and pick me up. So, but I remember I remember the Cracker Barrel. I remember my Masonic brothers giving me a ride, got into a car accident with me in it. Not a big one. He just, not even that hard, but he was going to go on the road. There was a car in front of him. I guess he wasn't really paying attention to it, and he kind of basically tapped the back of it. So the police had to be called. It was a whole thing, even though, the other driver was freaking out about nothing, or at least in my opinion. But yeah, it was a really cool barn. It was one of those places that was like rented out for weddings and special events and all the rest of it. That was used for the barn raising. It was a lot of fun. Medi, welcome. I don't know if I've had you on the podcast before, Medi. I think I've had some brothers from Maine on. If not, and this is your first time, please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button, Medi. Which part of Maine are you from, if you don't mind my asking? It's my goal, because I'm a big nerd and I'm a big Stephen King fan. It's my goal to one day get to visit Bangor, Maine, in order to see, Stephen King. But you say brothers, so I'm assuming you're a Freemason. Well, then welcome, Medi. And like I said, I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. My name is Cameron Adamson. I've been a Mason since 2007. I've been a Worshipful Master 3 times, and I'm currently the Worshipful Master of one of my lodges, Border City Lodge, which is a daylight lodge. I have no idea where Waterville area is from. I'm not sure. Okay, so I know Bangor and Augusta because I know Stephen King books, but that's as far as it goes. We have Texas Freemason. He is a Freemason. Keep in mind, this channel is for everybody to chat about Freemasonry. You just got your 3rd degree? Congratulations, Mandy. That's awesome. We do have an EA on here, but very, very cool. I don't know if you want to talk. I am a Freemason from Ontario. The purpose of the channel is to talk about Freemasonry, the ways that it was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, as well as my experience with Freemasonry, at least, or my thoughts on it, both the positive and the negative. Thank you. Well then, Mehdi, like I said, I do hope you hit the like button. I hope that you'll hit the subscribe button. And let me know if there's any topics you want me to discuss. Usually around, I have 1 p.m. live streams where I have specific topics. And then I have 1 a.m. live streams where it's more just shooting the poop with people and whatever they want to talk about. Um, Oftentimes it kind of sways off of Freemasonry, which is fine. Today, like earlier today, we talked about this YouTuber called Old School Kevmo, who's a cook, and I think his advice and lessons, because he cooks for large groups, specifically a sorority house, could apply to junior wardens or the junior warden job. And we talked about Steve Jobs, some of his philosophies, and how I think they can be applied to Freemasonry to create a better lodge experience. But like I said, I hope that you're doing well, Mehdi. Have you ever visited any lodges outside of Maine, specifically in Canada or any other jurisdictions? I know you said you're just raised, but not every jurisdiction. I know some jurisdictions are more, enforce the idea of if you're an EA or a fellow craft, you can't travel, but that's not really a thing in Ontario. I started traveling as soon as I was an EA, and I've loved it ever since. Where is Clinton Lodge 146? I'm just curious. I'm looking it up on Google. I'd love to see how the lodge looks. Do you have any places that you want to visit that's like on your list? We've got Sabatistic Masonic Lodge 146, AF&AM Clinton, Maine. I see it on Facebook. Looks beautiful. I like the um oh, I think I posted something from you guys before. The haven't been to lodge in a while. No judgment, just pull up. Don't recognize anyone anymore. That's cool. Introduce yourself. Brotherhood didn't vanish. It just got some new faces. I think I posted that. Recall it. No worries. But like I said, I would absolutely love to visit Maine. And Maine is very close to Canada, not very close to obviously my neck of the woods in Windsor. I'm close to Detroit, but it's close to New Brunswick, close to the Maritimes in general. So how has your Masonic journey been thus far? Because you're saying you're from Clinton or you're from Maine, you're just raised. So relatively new within Freemasonry? We'll just give you a few minutes to jump on. Like I said, if there's anything in particular you guys want to discuss, anybody who jumps on, please let me know. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. Well, once you got your third and you were raised, when you say further, do you mean taking part in degrees, like performing ritual? Do you mean like installation type of ceremonies, or even Scottish Rite or York Rite? Okay, I'm Scottish Rite. I got my 18th degree Scottish Rite. I didn't go any further. I know in most places in the States you get up to 32 in a weekend. Not quite the same here in our jurisdiction. There's no rush. I mean, that's just my opinion for whatever it's worth. There is no rush at all, right? Take your time. I mean, I didn't join any rite until after I had already been in the East for at least a couple of. Well, so I chose to be in the East um, I was in the East 2 years in a row, and then I was immediate past master. And it was after I was out of the immediate past master chair that I chose to join um, the Scottish Rite, right? But I did not want to rush it. So take your time. I know guys who've done both, though. And really enjoy doing both at the same time, though that's a lot to put on your plate, right? That is a ton to put on your plate. There's also Shrine as well, obviously, so keep them in mind too. I joined Freemasonry because there's two things. There's the reason I joined Freemasonry, and then there's the reason that I chose to stay active in Freemasonry. And those are kind of different things. But I joined Freemasonry because my dad and grandfathers were both Freemasons. So I always assumed that sooner or later I would join. And yeah, the rest is kind of history. Thank you, Texas. I appreciate that. I'm trying to figure out if there is a way. Old Dominion is coming to Caesars Windsor very soon on August 29th, and I'm trying to figure out if there is a way that I can get in touch with Old Dominion, it's the band, to um, see if they want to visit the Windsor Masonic Temple beforehand. Because we have the coffee club that morning. I mean, I could do it any time, but there's a coffee club that runs Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30 to 10:30 in the morning. And I think it'd be really cool if we, whenever there's any stars that go and try to visit or perform at the Windsor Masonic Temple, or sorry, whenever there's anybody who performs at Caesars Windsor, any bands, any artists, any, whatever it is, any superstars, I always try to get in touch with their like management or whatever it is and see if they want to visit the Masonic Temple because normally they're visiting at a time when they have the coffee club. So my idea is see if we can get them to stop by the Windsor Masonic Temple, take part in our coffee club, all that good jazz. I think the EA experience was good, and the more you learn, observe, and reflect on the EA degree, the more it teaches you. I agree with that 100%. I think that's absolutely the case. I think that's true for all the degrees. I think for every degree that you take part in, you are learning something so long as you're willing and able to reflect upon it and reflect upon kind of what you have learned from it. Um, I think there's a real danger and it's hard at the time, right? Because when you're getting your degrees, you're so trying to take everything in as much as you can. It can be incredibly hard to reflect in the moment, which you shouldn't be, right? But as time goes on, that's when you start the reflection and the reflective process. And that's when you start trying to, think about it. And the reflection process never ends, Medi. No, Rupert Fellows, I do not worship Lucifer. I would worship someone who'd be so kind as to hit the like and subscribe button. Even then, just for the one moment. But I know you're thinking Albert Pike probably when you say that. Freemasons do not worship Lucifer. To be a Freemason, you must believe in a supreme being, but the nature that supreme being is up to the individual. Um, and despite what Albert Pike may or may not say, Lucifer is not one of those supreme beings. Okay, yeah, that can be really special. I was both as a participant and an observer and as someone to organize the degree. I was part of many um, double first degrees as well as double second degrees and even a couple of double third degrees. So it's it can be really special for the person who goes first to get to watch a little bit of it from behind the, from the sidelines. Not too many Freemansions, but I assume Freemasons run their mouth as much as you do. Usually the phrase run their mouth is not a very friendly phrase, but I love talking about Freemasonry. I also just love to talk. So yeah, I will run my mouth a lot, and I'm very happy to do so. If you want to thank me for running my mouth, you can hit the like button and the subscribe button. Like I said, I do these streams, basically about 10 times a week, really. Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. and 1 a.m., and we chat about Freemasonry. Um, well, I try not to expose too much, although, who knows whether I try to obviously, and do avoid exposing, quote unquote, the secrets, which would be the modes of recognition. But what I do like to talk about are my Masonic experiences, why I love Freemasonry, why I think it is valuable to the communities and to the world. I also talk about areas where I'm concerned within Freemasonry, right? Where I think Freemasonry might not be doing as good a job as it could or should be doing. Problems and troubles I see, and also my views on what will result in a successful Masonic experience and will allow us to hopefully regrow Freemasonry back to its 1950s, 1920s era numbers. Not every Freemason wants, by the way, to see those numbers go up. Not every Freemason agrees with my ideas, which is fine as well. I speak exclusively for myself, which is one of my most favorite things to do. Um, but yeah, it's based on my experience and my love of Freemasonry, my experiences therein, what I think is working and not working, and my ideas on what can work. And then I have my podcast about it. I have my written work about it. What's your core group? I do not know. I also try to give advice, by the way, to like entered apprentices, fellow crafts. Again, advice based on my experiences. What worked for me in terms of, a more successful versus less successful Masonic experience. But I also talked to non-Masons, like I believe Dixon and Rupert, about maybe some of their more negative views of Freemasonry, and I try to push back on those to the extent that I can. Um, yes, I concur. What's your core group? I don't know what that means, Dixon. I mean, would you mean like the core group within Freemasonry? Because there is no core group slash inner group is something you hear a lot. To the extent that there is any core group, it would be Master Masons, I suppose. But even then, I wouldn't describe them as a core group per se. Maybe officers within a lodge. Um, like you often hear this idea of an inner group or a higher level or a secret society within the secret society, but that's all nonsense. There is no core group within Freemasonry. Um, what degree are you? I am. The degree that matters is Master Mason. I'm a third degree Master Mason, right? And that's the one that matters most. Or you could argue entered apprentice, or you could argue, sorry, being a worshipful master is the most important. It's not a degree, but it's an office, and that's as high as you can go. I am an 18th degree Scottish Rite um, as well. I did not go beyond that, but yeah. Well, sure. I think it's wise to keep my, I don't, I'm not afraid to say my disagreements. Now, I would never say specific individuals or specific groups, right? I would never say, for example, Mason John Smith says this, and I think he's wrong because of this reason necessarily, unless they've also written public things. But by and large, it's more in general. So, for example, I talk about uh, Freemasons should consider embracing as part of the application process, not just a interview, but an interview along with a criminal record check, a credit check, and health information to make sure that the breath, So, talk about things I think would be better in the application process, or why I think Freemasons need to spend more time traveling, and why I think the failure to travel is resulting in a more limited Masonic experience for the typical Mason, right? Not calling out specific ones, just saying in general, the craft is not putting enough emphasis on the necessity of travel, and what travel is, and what Freemasons need to think about when they're traveling. Because Masonic travel is a little bit different than quote unquote regular travel or travel for work, right? Masonic travel comes with its own set of kind of considerations and requirements, right? Like making sure that where you're traveling to is a recognized jurisdiction, things of that nature. So I think it is always fair if I see areas where Freemasonry can improve to discuss those areas, especially because, right, I can't bring them up in house with everybody because Freemasonry is jurisdictional. So I can see general problems, but the problems in Texas may be different than in Mississippi, than in Manitoba, than in England. And so you kind of speak general to a large group. Specific issues I may not bring up online. I may talk to the specific jurisdiction. I don't know to what that is a reference. Um, Dixon, so one of my favorite books, maybe my favorite book of all time. Actually, hold on just one second. I'll be right back. I hope you won't go anywhere, Dixon. Um, oh, and actually, this is another thing I talk about is this the right one? No, this is not the right one. There it is. Is Freemasons not having adequate or decent enough insurance? There it is. One of the issues that I think a lot of Masonic lodges have, and I talked about this, is this is a general thing I see different Masonic lodges, is their insurance is not the best in terms of what they have and how they are protecting, especially some of their special items. But I want to go back to what you said above. So one of my favorite um, books of all time is The Long Walk, which is written by Stephen King. It was published under his pseudonym, Richard Bachman. It's finally becoming a movie. It took forever. But there's one part of the book where one of the characters says, no, there is no word that is, less useful and more stupid than the word only. And he thinks we should get rid of the word only from the dictionary. Um, and I've always liked that quote. And I've always tried to avoid using the word only, right? So when you say that's why you only get a ring, chum stuff, it's like that's a pretty minimizing statement, Dixon. Like this is my Masonic ring. Um, it was given to me by my father, who who received it from his father, and we believe his great grandfather, right? It's not worth $1 million. It's not made of solid gold or anything, but it's a special ring, right? Those things matter. When you say things like you only get a ring, there's no reason to be minimizing the things that the people get that are important to them, right? One of the things that Freemasonry understands, I think, is, in that statement, but just in general, is if something's important to people, then it matters, right? Why were you saying LOL, Rupert Fellows? Stephen King is awesome. He's one of the greats, in my opinion. He's one of maybe the greatest author of, the last 50 years, commercially, certainly. But a lot of times I think people have this idea that if something is commercially successful, it means they don't have the same level of talent they would otherwise, which, or they're not like true artists, which I think is crazy. Um, Dixon, so I understand you're just kidding. It's no worries, but I would say, the rings that we get and all of that type of jazz is actually a really important part of the craft. And it's not necessary. Like there are many Freemasons who have, they don't have any rings, they don't have any jewels, they maybe have an apron and that's it. And they still are fully experiencing Freemasonry. So, I would just say the things that we have in our lives are important. Well, there was the what's it called? No, I can't think of what it's called. The tribute in Pennsylvania with the Confederate and the Union soldiers. They were both Masons. Yeah, there's a lot of stories like that, not just in that one. Try falling, try following Nicholas. I don't know who Nicholas Schreck is. I've never heard of this person. Nicholas Schreck. Well, he's revealing stuff about Charles Manson, which, okay. Um, there's some guy on the stream who, whenever he jumps up, he calls me Charles Manson because he says Freemasons are a cult. So there you go. Practitioner of black magic who led magical school, the werewolf order with his then wife Xena. Sounds like a friendly guy. I mean, I will check him out. I will try to learn anything from anyone if I can. So I hope that you, by the way, are doing well. And once again, I hope that everybody watching this will take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button. It's my hope to get to 2,500 subscribers. And right now I'm at 2,493. So I'm about 7 away from the goal. Let's give it a few more moments. Let's see who joins. Please take a moment. As always, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know how it's going and if there's anything you want to chat about. Like I said, this stream is just a general stream. I don't have anything specific to discuss. This is just kind of taking questions as they go. Tomorrow, I haven't decided for sure yet, but I may kind of discuss some economic news I'm seeing, how again I think that will affect Freemasonry. Some Masonic events I see coming up, and also some happy news in Windsor, Ontario, which is positive for the Windsor Masonic Temple. Yes, that is very, very good advice, by the way, from Mehdi. One of the most important things that we as Freemasons need to do, and sometimes forget far too often, is we need to enjoy the journey and not try to rush the journey either, just enjoy it as you go. We're just going to give it a bit of time. We're going to see who joins. And like I said, anything you guys want to chat when it comes to Freemasonry. By the way, I'm working on a couple of new interviews, including one with a brother from Texas. Once again, we're going to talk about at least what he's been seeing in Texas um, as it relates to insurance issues and maybe some areas where Masonic lodges or the Masonic buildings are potentially leaving themselves open to some insurance liabilities and how they can deal with those things and try to, um, how they can try to find ways to potentially, not leave themselves open to liability based on insurance because civic groups as well as civil groups as well as any groups that have historical buildings as well as any group that has buildings that are open to the public um, are going to have unique insurance liabilities that are not present within other Masonic groups or other groups, I should say. As well as board of director protection, as well as, yeah, there's a ton of things that you need. So um, it's 100% the case that, we need all of those things. Yeah, which makes sense, right? And again, there's a lot of different steps that you can take, right? So insurance is just one part of it. Insurance plus cameras plus like there's a million things, right? And also how do you reduce your insurance premiums? Making sure that your membership is trained in first aid, making sure your membership is trained in uh, WMIS training, safe service of food, safe service of alcohol, like making sure that you're doing whatever it is that you need to do in order to reduce liability can also reduce the costs associated with insurance. So that's something that you should always keep in mind as well. Um, but I hope everybody watching this once again is doing well. It looks like it's a quiet night. So maybe we will end this stream early. Tomorrow also, I may be not going on live, but I may be going on with my computer to share potentially some of my Masonic pictures that I want to share with you guys. So we may do it that way instead. But I'll wait 20 minutes. I'll see if anybody else jumps on, and then maybe I will end this stream for the night. If you can hear in the background, that is my cat. Cat getting a late night glass of water or late night drink of water. So Yes, have a good night. Enjoy your study. I'm gonna stick around for, like I said, 20 more minutes. Just gonna see if anybody else jumps on and wants to chat about Freemasonry. If not, we'll call this stream off and then we'll do another. Like I said, we'll be back 1 p.m. tomorrow, potentially from my laptop instead of uh from my phone, and we'll see how that goes. There's a way to make it to here. Welcome, you're just joining us. Jump in the chat, say hello. I'm gonna give it a few minutes to see if anybody jumps on. Like I said before, we're ending this stream a little bit earlier than usual. But thank you to everybody who has been here thus far. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button, and let me know how it's going, if there's anything that you want to talk about. Hey, there's a thing happening here. Last day for USA, Canada, Gold Plus, Windsor. Okay. I guess that's what I'm going to do. Just looking to see if I can find any Masonic events to go to, and I found a couple. Where's Elsie, Michigan? Does anybody watching this know where Elsie, Michigan is? If you do, please let me know. All right, let's see if I can even add. Elsie, welcome. You're just joining us. Please take a moment, jump in the chat, say hello. I'm here hanging out, chatting about Freemasonry. So, any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. Or what your thoughts are in general on Freemasonry. If you like it, if you don't like it, what it is that is positive, negative, all that stuff would help out big time. So, is there any way to make it to Flint, Michigan? No, it looks like there's not. But this thing I could do, make it to Ann Arbor easily, or not Ann Arbor, sorry, Dearborn. There's a breakfast the next day at Bad Axe, Michigan. Oof, which there's no way to get up there that I can see. Let's see. Detroit to Bad Axe, Michigan. Two hours and 4 minutes. 3 ways to travel: bus, car, taxi. Yeah, there's no way to get up there. I used to go up to Bay City a lot and I visited the Bay City Masonic Temple a lot. Really enjoyed that. It was a really, really cool. Bay City is a beautiful place. I miss it actually quite a bit. If I ever could make it back there, I 100% would want to because it is such an incredibly beautiful, beautiful place that everybody should go to if they want. Let's see. Yeah, it's right. It's north of Saginaw, and it's right on the river. It's beautiful. So I would recommend if you get the chance and you can go check it out. Believe me, it's worth it. Mystical 905. Were you on here before Mystical? And did you want a cloak night before? Because you seem familiar to me. I feel like I've heard of that before. Well, welcome back. I do not have a cloak, sadly. I am very, very boring. I wish I could say I was more interesting than I actually am, but I do hope you will nonetheless take a moment to hit the like button and the subscribe button. and let me know how it's going. All right, so I did remember you. Well, once again, I hope you will take a moment to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Let me know how your day is going and if there is anything that you want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'm hoping I can get to 2,400, 2,500 subscribers this week. That's the goal. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed. But how is it going? How's your night going? I hope everything is going well. And I still have not organized a cloak night yet, but don't worry, it's on my list of things to do, I promise you. There's like no way to make it. To where I want to go. Alright, I'm going to see if I can plan a trip. That is a very good question, or more specifically, those are very good questions, and I don't know if I necessarily have the best answers for them. Those are different questions as well, Mystical. So, growing membership, I honestly don't believe that growing membership should be our desire, should be our goal. I know it seems counterintuitive, but the more we chase membership, I think the less likely we are to acquire increased membership. What I think we want to focus on is increasing relevance. And that's not about doing it at a nationwide level because that's too hard. That's about doing it at a community level. That's about trying to make ourselves relevant to the communities in which we're located. And we do things like that by, for example, taking a few moments to keep in touch with, like, if let's say a new business opens up on, in your town, the Masonic Lodge should be the first one to go to that business and maybe see what type of partnerships you can develop. Can you, if it's a restaurant, is that restaurant interested in catering events at the Masonic Temple? It's a brand new restaurant, so it probably would be interested in it, you would assume, right? Is it possible to, if it's, let's say, a company that sells ice cream, do you do an ice cream tasting at the Masonic Temple? If it's a coffee shop, do you do a coffee tasting? Right? There are so many different ways that we as Freemasons can, hopefully, fingers crossed, create a level of relevance in our communities. And if we can create that relevance, then we are going to increase our membership because people will have a good experience with Freemasonry. They'll have positive views of the craft and of the lodge. Even if they're not a Freemason themselves, when their friends say to them, like, hey, I'm interested in joining Freemasonry, your response can be, yeah, those guys support my business, so you should join, right? But we need to focus on relevance. We need to be part of community events. We need to be part of charitable events. We need to be part of the 4th of July parade, whatever it might be, right? We need to be part of all of those things. We need to be relevant. I mean, you bring up McDonald's and Starbucks, right? Why are those brands so successful? The reason is because those brands are relevant to the people, right? It's like, it's not even that they necessarily like McDonald's or Starbucks per se. It's that they have memories of parts of their life in the McDonald's, in the Starbucks. That's what the whole advertising campaigns for all these places are. It's not about the food itself, it's about the memories of the food with the people. What is a typical memory somebody has of their Masonic building within their community? I can tell you, 50 years ago, even if you weren't a Mason, you had fond memories involving Freemasonry. You had fond memories of visiting a Masonic lodge. You had fond memories of maybe at a Masonic lodge for a dance, a wedding, a celebration, an anniversary. Like whatever it might be, you had a fond memory involving the Masonic temple. You're more likely to talk positively of Freemasons because of that, and people are more likely to join because of that. So it's not about focusing on the nation, it's about at the community level, how can we make sure we are relevant to the lives of individuals and that they're aware of that relevance? And based upon that, how can we then maintain that relevance so people want to join? But to me, the biggest issue is not growing membership, it's maintaining engagement with the members we already have, which is far more, I think, of a challenge than otherwise. Well, not really, right? I mean, I understand what Brother Adam is saying, but that's not really the case in that Freemasonry is jurisdictional, right? So the decisions that are made about Freemasonry in Texas, like so Freemasonry, so Texas Grand Lodge makes rules that apply to Masons within Texas. Um, Ontario Grand Lodge makes rules that apply to Freemasons in Ontario. UGLE makes rules that apply to Masons in England. But UGLE can't turn around and say, this is the way it is for Masons worldwide, right? There is no worldwide Grand Lodge. There are individual jurisdictions. And each jurisdiction has to decide for itself the type of initiatives, programs, services, charitable efforts, all that stuff that it wants to engage in. It's up to the lodges to decide for themselves. They do not, Brother Adam. At least that is not my understanding of it. Now, I could be wrong. But for example, there's a reason why, for example, the Grand Lodge of Texas has a different set of rules and ritual than UGLE, right? They do not report to UGLE. The closest thing you have to what you're kind of discussing, well, you can have it unrecognized by UGLE, but that wouldn't affect. Like if UGLE chooses not to recognize, let's say, the Grand Lodge of Texas, Ontario would still recognize the Grand Lodge of Texas. Texas would have to, like Ontario would have to choose. Like each jurisdiction would have to decide for itself whether it wishes or does not wish to recognize a particular jurisdiction. UGLE is, the decisions UGLE makes as to what it does or does not recognize doesn't apply outside of UGLE. I think what you're thinking of, honestly, is the Council of Recognition, but even that is not applicable. Well, they may not be being recognized by United Grand Lodge of England, but they are recognized by Ontario. So I can't speak to you. Like I said, I can't speak to UGLE, but in Ontario, they're still recognized. Yes. Well, it is unstructured mystical. That's one of its greatest strengths, as well as one of its biggest challenges. But it is unstructured in the sense that there is no single national or international body that governs Freemasonry and sets rules for each jurisdiction. Right. In the States, it's state by state. Each state has a Grand Lodge, as well as a Prince Hall Grand Lodge, and 51 if you count Washington, D.C., if I recall correctly, has its own Masonic jurisdiction. In Canada, it's 10 provinces. Each has its own jurisdiction. In Europe, it tends to be more national. So there's, England and Scotland both have Grand Lodges. There's a couple in France. The way that these unstructured bodies work together is through what's called recognition and regularity. So it's basically almost a gentleman agreement amongst different Masonic jurisdictions that if I, as a Mason in Ontario, travel to Michigan, I will be welcomed in their lodge because, there's this mutual agreement. And that exists kind of across the world. It used to be for a long time, people would just look at whatever is recognized by England is recognized everywhere else, but that is not the case anymore. So, yeah. But the strength of that means that different Masonic lodges have the ability, or different Masonic jurisdictions have the ability to try different things, try different events, try different initiatives. And if they work well, then other jurisdictions can try the same things and see if they work. And if they don't work well, it doesn't affect the whole of Freemasonry. It affects a single kind of jurisdiction. There really is not. Brother Adam, I'm very sorry. You are incorrect on this one. There is not a single um, corporate entity which governs all the messaging and marketing philosophy of the Brotherhood, right? Sorry, Brother Adam, you're incorrect. UGLE does not set the rules or recognition for kind of messaging. Again, they can suggest things, but if the Masons of California want to do something that is different than what UGLE wants to do, then Masons of California will do that. Now, UGLE may say, we don't approve of that and we're not going to recognize you, which would mean that any Masons under the jurisdiction of the United Grand Lodge of England would not be able to visit and sit in lodge with in California. And I don't think so. That would never work because Texas Freemasonry is different than UGLE Freemasonry, which is different than, if you look at just the ritual, right? If I'm going to get a first degree and I get my first degree in Ontario, the ritual is different than the ritual in Texas, which is different than the ritual in Mississippi, which is different than the ritual in England, which is different than the ritual in, oh my gosh, South America, whatever it might be, right? And there's a real beauty to that. I love that. I love the idea that, like, one of my most fond Masonic memories was sitting in a lodge in Mexico and hearing Masonic ritual in Spanish, right? Which I never heard it before, in a different language. And the fact that, right, if you have a single entity that is responsible for standardizing Freemasonry around the world, you're going to lose the uniqueness of individual jurisdictions. You're going to lose the uniqueness of what makes Freemasonry special in Texas versus what makes Freemasonry special in Ontario. Because that ritual develops through history, through culture, through, tradition, all those things that you can't standardize, or at least you should not want to standardize. GHJJ. I'm sleeping great, but GH, I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. I would really, really appreciate it. I mean, the other thing to keep in mind, too, is one of the problems that a lot of conspiracy theorists have is they think that Freemasonry is a single entity. Like when they say Freemasonry, they're thinking thank you, GH, they're thinking there's one group, and that group is, on a mountaintop somewhere, and it's telling every Freemason exactly what to do and how to act. And the problem with that from a conspiracy perspective is they end up, anytime, something bad happens with a Freemason somewhere, or a Freemason does something bad, they'll suddenly think that Freemasonry must be bad everywhere, right? Which is really a dangerous thing. The fact that Freemasonry is separate means it's harder to pin one bad action on the whole of Freemasonry. But again, what you're talking about there, Mystical, is something called recognition. Now, There is what is called a Council of Recognition, which every year it comes out with a report, and it will. If I think I'm getting the name of it right, I could be wrong. And it will come out with a report, and the report will say, these are certain Masonic groups and jurisdictions which we feel are acting badly, and we don't think they should be recognized as being truly Masonic. And they have a list of rules as to what means acting badly. And these are a list of new Masonic organizations or Masonic organizations and groups that have changed. We think they're doing things in an appropriate way, and we think they now should be recognized. And that is a standard in terms of recommendations, and that's called the, let me double check now. I'm trying to get the name of it right. Committee of Recognition Freemasons. Right. The Commission on Information of Recognition was organized in 1951 as a facility to gather, collate, and from time to time revise information on Grand Lodges of other lands as a service to the Grand Lodges of the Conference of Grand Masters. So that is kind of the closest thing we have to a standardized set of rules. The standards for recognition are legitimacy of origin, exclusive territorial jurisdiction except by mutual consent, and adherence to the ancient landmarks, such as a belief in God, the environment of the sacred law, an indispensable part of the furniture of the lodge, and the prohibition of the discussion of politics and religion. But again, these standards are recommendations. They're not enforceable. The committee cannot say, you have to recognize this Grand Lodge, or you have to not recognize this Grand Lodge. All I can say is, this is what we think you should do, and it's up to each individual jurisdiction to decide for themselves. I've not heard anything about Tennessee in particular. I believe Ontario still recognizes it. To my knowledge, it still recognizes it. So I do not know to what you are referring. There's always some political something happening, right? It's a pain in the butt, but there's always something happening in Freemasonry in that way. So there's always something going on. There's always somebody cranky about something, or it's human nature, right? I mean, Freemasons, as much as I wish we were not, we are ourselves humans. And part of being human means sometimes, especially part of being brothers, by the way, means sometimes brothers fight. So I don't know. I know nothing about what's happening in Tennessee, though. I've not heard anything specific. But no, whatever your state is, that state gets the final say in whom you do or do not recognize. So. Okay, so it's a small percentage, right? Relatively speaking. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of 50. And I don't know if what the situation is with Prince Hall, if they're involved in this at all in any way, but there's always going to be something. Who knows? Maybe. Right, because there are different debates about LGBT, particularly the T. It's a whole thing. My view on it, if that's what it is, I've always believed, and I still believe that, and I think United Grand Lodge of England took exactly the right approach when UGLE said that if you are a trans man, then you are a man for Masonic purposes, and you can join a Masonic lodge within the United Grand Lodge of England, which I think is exactly the right approach to take. Different, but again, it's jurisdictional, right? So Tennessee has a different way to approach those things than, let's say, other places. But I hope Tennessee is not being douchebags about it, because I love Texas Freemasonry. Oh, sorry, a Tennessee Freemasonry. I love my Tennessee Masonic brothers. I think they're some of the greatest brothers in the world. But if they're being, dicks to the LGBT community, then I would say that it's definitely not cool. Oh, there's been a million civil wars and non-civil wars, and not like actual fighting, but I mean, the Premier Grand Lodge of England formed in 1717, and then in 1724 it split apart and became the ancient and modern Grand Lodges. So in 7 years, there was already a split within Freemasonry, and it was 7 years old. So again, human nature. One of my favorite quotes, and this is about the Catholic Church, but I applied to Freemasonry. And I don't remember the name of the person who said it, but somebody once said of the Catholic Church, they said, no, it must be the case that the Catholic Church is blessed by God because no organization so poorly run could survive were it not blessed by God. And in some ways, I kind of feel the same way about Freemasonry. Freemasonry must be loved by the Supreme Being because no organization or group so poorly and ineffectively run for over 300 years could survive were it not blessed by a higher power. Right. And that's obviously me being a little bit sarcastic, but just a little bit sarcastic. The fact that Freemasonry has existed for as long as it has, after all the problems and nonsense, is pretty amazing. Um, so, to its credit, I suppose. But I do hope you are doing well. Please take a moment. If anybody's just joining us for the first time, please take a moment to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It would be an incredible help. Um, Never been any bloodshed in Freemasonry, but well, I mean, there's stories of what's his name? I can't think of it now. Out of New York, I'll think of it later. But those are just rumors and innuendo, as they say. Oh, so now we're doing Lord of the Rings. That's where we're going with it. Hey, I got my ring. I showed it before. This is my dad's Masonic ring that he gave to me in Lodge, which came from my grandfather, and we believe my great grandfather. Um, I love it. It's one of my most favorite possessions. And I feel very lucky to have it. One thing I talked about on my stream was why, when it comes to things like rings, jewels, why it's so important that we not only get them insured as individuals if we own them, but also the way to insure them so that they are protected. Because most people nowadays aren't Freemasons. If you go to your insurance provider and say, my Masonic rings and jewels were stolen, he's going to have no idea what they are. He's going to have no idea how to properly value them. But if you have them listed in your insurance separately, if you have them, pictures included, as well as descriptions, as well as appraisals, then if anything happens to them, heaven forbid, they get stolen, they get lost, you can at least get some type of adequate compensation for them. And also, at the same time, you'll be able to hopefully, take those pictures and descriptions to a police to get a police report, and then take them to the different pawn shops. So if they do get pawned, you can get them back. In my humble opinion. But welcome, if you are just joining us, please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. No GWs, that's a bad term. So let's not be doing that. But I do hope everybody, once again, is doing well. Please, if you are just joining us, take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. I'm 7 subscribers away from getting 2,500 subscribers. So if I could get 2,500 subscribers, I'd appreciate it. Just take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. Nobody should put ranch on pizza. If you put ranch on pizza, I'm sorry, but you are monstrous. I said it, and I stand by it. You are monstrous. I am. Well, you can start building that army of orcs, Mystical. I would truly appreciate it. By the way, Mystical, and to everybody watching this, if you also want to help me out another way, I hope that you will consider joining my Patreon. Patreon.com/square and compass. You can join for free. Doesn't cost anything. Or you can join at like the $3 mark, the $5 mark. There's different items you get in terms of, for being a Patreon. But let me just put it down here in the link. Patreon.com/square and compass. I would never join that, Brother Adam. That sounds horrible. Oh, that sounds horrible. Patreon. Oh, sorry. Patreon.com/square and compass. You can join for free. It would be incredibly helpful. Or you could join at like a $3 tier, whatever it is you want to join at. I would truly appreciate it. Up to $50 tier. It would be truly, truly appreciated. But yeah, just take a few moments. And also, like I said, if anybody's joining for the first time, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know how it's going and if there's anything that you want to talk about. We'll give it, let's say, another 13, well, we'll give it another 5-10 minutes or so, and then we may call this stream off. I will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. So I hope that you guys will, like I said, I hope that if you guys get the chance, you will join. Hey, it's one of my, it is a precious ring to me anyways, if nothing else. So hey, I know where Battle Creek, Michigan is. I can make it there. I'm just looking at different events that we've got happening in Michigan over the Labor Day long weekend. Because this is the last weekend, I'm very sad to see it go, of the Windsor tunnel bus. And as someone who has used that tunnel bus very, very often, and I've loved it the whole time, I hate to see it go. There seems to be no, let me try this. Detroit to Battle Creek. Those who become part of this lodge want to become part of the Most High Council of the Supreme Ranch. I mean, if they rule the world, then that would explain why the world is in such a, interesting, challenging situation, put it that way. Because anybody who would put ranch on pizza has lost touch with reality, in my oh so humble opinion. I knew there was a bus to get there. It's the Flix bus, right? or Greyhound. Okay. Oh, somebody's been listening to what the conspiracy theorists have to say and responding accordingly. All right, fair enough. Um, let's see. It's funny because I'm just searching quickly to see if I can find a way to make it to Battle Creek, Michigan. And it takes me to the Greyhound website, which I haven't been on this Greyhound website in forever. Normally it's always the Flixbus. So it's very strange to me. Well, Master is correct. It does not go on pizza. Whoever is saying that it does has absolutely made a terrible, terrible mistake. And so I just got to say, if you're one of those people and you're saying, hey, free ranch goes on pizza, I mean, that's a reason to blackball you, in my opinion. Honestly, that's a reason to totally blackball you from Freemasonry altogether. Now, it's not part of our official questions. It should be. I think that we should be asking people if they take ranch on pizza, but it's not my say. It's not my say. All right, what's the thing, Mystical? That's why they should have got disbanded. If they're putting ranch on pizza, they should absolutely have gotten disbanded. They are 100% just making things terrible. So I support that. Raynash Nair, I will answer your question as soon as you hit that like and subscribe button. If you've already done so, let me know and I will definitely answer your question. Actually, I'll answer it anyways because the people need to know. No, I do not like ranch on pizza. Ranch on pizza it does not belong, or sorry, pineapple. I do not like pineapple on pizza. Pineapple does not belong on pizza. Pineapple on pizza is gross. No, Mystical. No, you are just getting a lot of things incorrect here. It's clear that you've fallen for some type of trick, some type of mind control. I do not understand why. Well, I just got a unkind statement from a Sean McDonald, but at least I know YouTube is recommending my shorts, my short videos, I should say. Sean McDonald said, "You look like you're walking around." I'm not walking anywhere, Sean McDonald. I am in a wheelchair, so there's no place to which I am walking. But I do hope you will be so kind as to hit that like and subscribe button. And let's give it, let's say, a few more minutes. We have 8 people watching now, which is more than I thought I would get this night. So maybe I'll stick around for a couple more. I'm just going to see who else joins and who else wants to chat about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral on it, please let me know, as well as we can just hang out and chat about whatever it is. Although my phone is dying, hence I'm holding it right now to keep the battery going, so... I'm trying to figure out if I go to, I'm gonna go like this for the time being. If I go to Detroit, is there a way to then, and is it worth it to go um, to Chicago or anything like that for Labor Day? Run over to Rivendell and get you. I don't know what Rivendell is. I'm not gonna lie to you, Mystical. I am not a Lord of the Rings. Um, um, but I do not know anything about Rivendell. I do not know anything about um, uh, yeah, like I said, I don't know. I know one of my friends was actually he's in the credits for Lord of the Rings because he was a Lord of the Rings like massive fan, and he I guess as part of being the fan club, they like helped raise money for the something to do with they helped raise money for the film or something like that. I don't even know exactly what it was, but he got a shout out in the um Lord of the Rings movie. Like at the end of it, they listed all the members of the fan club. So I thought that was really, really cool. You know, there's a town in Illinois called Normal, Illinois. I had no idea. Well, okay. I'm curious now. I want to check something. Lord of the Rings, um, Freemasonry. While there are debated symbolic parallels between the Lord of the Rings and Freemasonry, such as the all-seeing eye, there is no proof. J.R.R. Tolkien was a Freemason. In fact, his devout Catholic faith makes it less likely and he drew inspiration from Norse mythology, not Masonic rituals. The imagery, like the Eye of Sauron, is more likely a general symbol of oppressive power or a reference to ancient Egyptian lore. For the record, Mystical, the best story ever written is The Long Walk by Stephen King, and that is becoming a movie, and I am dying to see it. I am beyond excited. Actually, for the record, I think the greatest story ever written was Don Quixote, hence the Don Quixote tattoo I'm rocking out right now. Would there be any way The Running Man by Stephen King? I mean, that was a good short story, but it was nowhere near as good as his best stuff, right? It was a Bachman book, but to me, his best work is um, what was I saying? His best work by far is oh my gosh, The Long Walk. The Colorado Kid is insanely underappreciated. Uh, it, The Ballad of the Flexible Bullet, All the Love Will Be Carried Away is really great. Uh, what am I missing? So many. There's just so many great ones. Uh, well, I'd say the best Bachman book is The Long Walk by far, but oh my, The Stand, The Shining, Danse Macabre. Uh, I'm the only person I think who really likes the Tommyknockers, but I really like the Tommyknockers. Joyland, um, The Body, The Shawshank Redemption, The Breathing Method. The Breathing Method is very Masonic, by the way. If you ever read that, you think of Freemasonry. At least I do. The Breathing Method, Freemasonry. It's about a secret club, if you will. Right? The Breathing Method features an esoteric club where members tell stories with the widely known 478, So it's interesting how um it's about a secretive club. So if you ever read that, that was in the different seasons. That was in the different seasons collection, which is a great collection. That had famously, it had three of the four stories became movies, right? The Body became Stand By Me, Apt Pupil became Apt Pupil, and The Shawshank Redemption became The Shawshank Redemption. I think it was actually called Rita Hayworth of The Shawshank Redemption, but yeah, it was um, it was a pretty awesome, generally speaking, just one of the best. He's one of the best writers of all time. His works are some of the best works of all time, and the movies that they have become are some of the best movies of all time. So, I personally think he does not get near the love. The breathing method hasn't, does it? I didn't realize that. I'm trying to think what that could be. The breathing method. There was two of those stories that involved that same club. Was one of them The Crate? Let me see. Stephen King. Let's see. I'm looking at the Wikipedia article about it. So it was written in 1982. Oh no, it was called The Man Who Would Not Shake Hands. A nested narrative told in the Strangers Club in Manhattan. I'm not sure what I recognize about The Crate. Having said that, I do like Pet Cemetery. Not as much as other people, but I do enjoy it quite a bit. Um, well, it looks like they wanted to adapt it, but they never got around to it. Like I said, it looks incredible, but for me personally, um, I cannot imagine like it's a long walk. That I am beyond excited for that movie, which is coming out September 12th. And by the way, I it is my birthday, September 12th. So if you want to get me a birthday gift, you know what you can do? You can join my Patreon. Would be very, very much appreciated. Mystical 905, um, GHJJ, uh, Brother Adam. Please consider joining my Patreon. I would truly, truly appreciate it. And please hit that like and subscribe button if you're not done so to anybody watching this. Um, and please just let me know how your day is going or I guess how your night is going. Yeah, but what was the something horrible? Um, One more time, I'm just going to leave this here. Oops, maybe if I could actually get into the chat. It's patreon.com/square and compass. Patreon.com/square and compass. I would truly appreciate it. Right, but what's the Easter egg to like what is the Stephen King story that references something in a crate? Because I can't think of it off the top of my head. I mean, I'm sure there are many because he's written, I don't even know. How many books has he written so far? And short stories and novellas, and it's got to be in the several hundred. I wouldn't be surprised if it was over 500 easily. Let's see. Right, but what is you said there was an Easter egg about a crate. So what is the Easter egg for the crate? Um, so he's written 200 short stories. Um, I'm trying to find I'm just really curious. Right, but Mystical 905 Easter egg to what, right? An Easter egg is something that references something else. So the Easter egg of the crate would be if the crate and what was ever was inside of it appeared in another Stephen King story. which I can't figure out what it is, right? So the breathing method, there's a part of the story where the guy is telling the tale about a guy who came across a crate and something horrible was inside of it. Yeah. So are any of those men referenced in another Stephen King story? I'm just going to type this into Google because that would make it an Easter egg. How many stories has Stephen King written? That's not working, so let's try it this way. How many works has Stephen King published? Let's try it that way. 65 novels and over 200 short stories. So 265, I guess that would be. And 5 nonfiction books. So 70 plus 200 short stories. So 275? Well, there you go, Mystical 905. Mystical, I think you're awesome, but I don't quite think um, I don't quite think you understand how an Easter egg works, good sir. For example, if in the breathing method, um, one of the characters were to tell a story about a clown that was haunting, or just said there was a story, this guy told a story of a clown haunting a bunch of kids in Derry, and the clown was the most evil clown in the world. That would be an Easter egg, right? Because it's referencing another one of his works. It's referencing it. Or if he had said, one character told a story of a spacecraft that they found in Maine somewhere, and it caused people to go crazy. That would be an Easter egg. If anything, the story of the crate is more like a teaser, where it's not. It's an idea for another type of story that Stephen King never got around to telling, either because he didn't know it or because he didn't. It wasn't something he's ever thinking about. He just wrote it as a teaser, and maybe he had it in his mind. I came from YouTube land. I came from Winnipeg, or perhaps some might say I came from the East, although I've never been a big fan of the call and response stuff. Did he? Like, where, are you sure about that? Because I've never heard of it, and every time I try to like find it, Stephen King, The Crate. Okay, here it is. The Crate is a short story by Stephen King, first published in the July 1979 issue of Gallery. In 19, so okay. Upon his return, Stanley wakes up. So I never read this one. Um, I never knew that this one actually existed. So that's cool. Okay, now I get it. Because for a while I was like, what is this reference to the crate? Um, Northrop likens it to the Tasmanian devil, albeit um, possibly having 6 legs. So was it the same? Because let me see. And the thing, the crate. Okay, that is really cool, Mystical. All right, it took me a few seconds to figure it out. I never read. When was it? Looks like it was published in. Um, was it ever published in any of his actual novels? It looks like it never was. So yes, in that case, Mystical, I was incorrect. You were correct. You got that one right. I did not. I learned something new about Stephen King. I had no idea. It's funny because I think I even saw a Creep Show once upon a time. Um, I read The Breathing Method. I think what I need to do is read The Crate because I did not know that was a story by Stephen King. So that's what I need to read because that seems really, really cool. A little bit of trivia about Stephen King. I did not know that he published a story called The Crate. So thank you for sharing that with me, Mystical. I very much appreciate it. It's nice to learn something new. So that's why I never read it probably because I've never read his stuff outside of his short story collections or his books. Like I know he published some stuff in magazines. I know he had like Word Processor of the Gods. I think he published that in Playboy or something. But I never read his stuff outside of what's published in books. So I kind of wish that now that I should look up some of his stuff outside of the typical publishing realm. All right, I think I'm going to call this stream off. Which was that one? Sorry, Mystical. Before I do, what was the different short story collection? I'll look it up. Maybe I can find it. Can you run and find it? Tell me what it's called. I'd love to know. That's what we all say. That's what we all say. By the way, if you are just joining us, thank you for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know how it's going. If you have any thoughts on Freemasonry or just anything else you want to talk about, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear it. But if we can get a few more people to hit that like and subscribe button, I'm going to get to 2,500 subs, which is absolutely my goal, by the way. So um, that's kind of my goal of this week. The Great Tales of Horror. I will check it out. Thank you for letting me know. Hey, I like barbecue sauce on pizza. I will grant you barbecue sauce on pizza is legitimately great. That's one thing I think we can both agree on. Why can't I find? I'm trying to find something here and it's proving difficult. No. No, you've lost me. That sounds horrible. I don't know why you would ever want something so horrible on pizza, right? Like, you're ruining the chicken on that point as well. No, sir, you are just incorrect. At no point has anybody ever said to themselves, you know what this pizza needs? Ranch of any sort. So, no, sir. I'm sorry, I just have to strongly disapprove of what you're saying. All right, I'll be back tomorrow at once more at 1 p.m. and we're going to be chatting. I think I'm going to go on my laptop, and what I'm going to do is go over some of my social media stuff to help people find it and help people track it down. I will stay on the level, Adam, and for you, sir, please take a moment, go to patreon.com/square and compass and sign up for my Patreon. I would truly, truly appreciate it. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a great day, and bye for now.